Hey, it's Keith, and welcome to our new series we're going to be doing called Jesus the Prophet. So this is just an introduction video. I just want to give you guys kind of a lay of the land of what we're going to be talking about in upcoming videos and upcoming teachings, and so you'll kind of know what to expect. The things I'm going to talk about in this series really came from I did a series of meetings about a year and a half, 2 years ago called Jesus Without Religion or Politics. It was specifically intended to be for non-Christians who just wanted to know about Jesus but didn't want to have to go to a church and sit through some kind of evangelistic message or be, feel like any kind of concern or fear that someone was going to trick them and say, try to get them to become Christians or accept certain doctrines or political things or whatever. To just say, look, it's just a safe place to come and learn about Jesus. And as part of that series, I had a session just called Jesus and Prophecy. And so that's what I'm going to do here, is just kind of unpack some of that for you guys here in this series. So we're going to talk about a little bit. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail. There are a ton of prophecies in the Old Covenant Scriptures that foretell that a Messiah would come, and that Jesus is, and we can see that Jesus is the fulfillment of those prophecies. And there's some very specific things like in Psalms 22 and Isaiah 53 and things like that. And there's also something like 40 different prophecies that Jesus fulfilled just on the day of his crucifixion. And that's significant because the majority of those things were things that were out of his control. Right? He was at the mercy of the Romans and the Jewish authorities, and so they did to him whatever they were going to do to him, and he had no say in any of those things. And so that's really significant and very interesting that Old Covenant Scriptures prophesied, foretold some very specific things that happened to Jesus on his crucifixion, and other things like that. And we'll also look at, there's an old, you probably don't know this, most Christians aren't aware of this, Old Testament prophecy that tells us that the name of the Messiah will be Jesus, that the Messiah's name will be Jesus. Believe it or not, yes, it does say that, and we'll look at that. So we'll also look at the 70 weeks of Daniel prophecy, because not only does that foretell the coming of Jesus and the timing of the coming of the Messiah, which Jesus fulfills, but it also overlaps a little bit into some of the prophecies of Jesus, which is the Olivet Discourse, which we will spend the bulk of our time looking at the Olivet Discourse. And what that is the Matthew, Mark, and Luke, where Jesus gives what's called the Olivet Discourse, which is a prophetic word about some things that are going to happen in a specific time frame. And then we're going to look at how those specific things that Jesus prophesied were specifically fulfilled within the time frame and how they were fulfilled. Again, most Christians aren't even aware of this kind of stuff, so it's hopefully you'll find this very interesting. We'll look also at the Abomination of Desolation. What does that mean? What is the Abomination of Desolation? It probably doesn't mean what you've been told it means, but we will see that defined by the Bible. The New Testament tells us what the Abomination of Desolation is, so there should be no question, no confusion. We will look at what's called the Tisha B'av, or Tisha B'av. If you don't know what that is, I'm not going to tell you now, but let me tell you, when we come to that part, you are going to want to watch that because that's pretty amazing stuff. And I think we'll also spend some time looking at the dating of the book of Revelation. There of course is a debate as whether or not it's written before AD 70 or after AD 70, and I'm going to argue for it being written before AD 70, but I'm going to give you some reasons why, and they're good reasons. And then I think we'll also take time to look at the mark of the beast and what is the mark of the beast and what is that all about, because we just finished going through this whole series of dispensationalism. Dispensationalists tell us really there's only one way, according to them, there's only one way to look at those things and to think about those things. But I want you to see that there is a different way to look at those things, that there are ways to look at it that are answered in the Scriptures. In other words, the New Testament Scriptures will bring up these ideas, but then will tell us what they mean. And so we don't need to come up with some crazy theories or conjecture, and it's certainly not a futurist view of these things, but was a fulfillment, a way of looking at it as ways, things that how they've been fulfilled. So anyway, I think that'll be interesting. I hope it's going to be interesting to you to take some time and go through these things. So I think our next video, what we'll do is we will look at just a couple of the Old Covenant scriptures. So I'm going to basically cherry pick. I'm going to specifically look at a couple prophecies about Jesus that he fulfilled that I think are really interesting, probably some of the more significant ones. But again, we're not going to be able to go into all of them because this would take me the rest of my life to go through those, and I don't have that kind of time to spend on this subject. So, and then after that video, we will very quickly move into the prophecies of Jesus and the Olivet Discourse and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so I hope this is interesting. Again, I'm interested in it. I'm really excited about it, and I look forward to sharing this with you guys. All right, so get ready, because here we go. We're going to jump into this whole topic of Jesus, the prophet. All right, hope you're going to enjoy it. God bless. Take care. Bye-bye.